If your ads are getting clicks but not sales, your ROAS is getting crushed. And most of the time, it comes down to one thing, that's your targeting. Most people guess here. They stack random interest, hope it works, and then wonder why their ads don't convert. But the truth is, not all audiences are created equal. And if you target the wrong people, nothing else matters. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to set up the right audience so your ads don't just get clicks and they actually drive sales.
All right, so we're in the ad manager right now. So let's go ahead and edit this ad set. So we're gonna click on this ad set, all UK broad, and then we're gonna change this one to detail, target, and we can put this guy in here. You don't need to put targeting, and then we can include what are the detail targetings that we put in here after we have this all finished. You can always edit the ad set names once this is published, so it doesn't have to be perfect right now. So just keep that in mind. All right, so now we want to go down to our audiences. And then we want to click further, limit the reach of your ads. We're telling Facebook, hey, we want to be in control. All right, so we click further limit. And now you get to have more of a say-so when it comes to detailed targeting. This is where you can select the demographics, interests, and behaviors, just right here. All right, let's go into our PowerPoint slide. So anytime we say ad set, think of it as your audience. All right, so this is a stadium. This is who you're getting to decide who's going to show up to your event, whether it's people located in the United States that have an interest in clothing, whatever it may be. So this is the audience, and then your ad is just basically the center of the stadium. That's where you display, your sweaters ad or your whatever your product is. You're displaying it in the center of the stage. All right, so now we have demographics, interest, and behavior. These are the three options that we can select. So let's go to our PowerPoint slide real quick. So interest-based targeting is you reach specific audiences by looking at their interest activities, the pages they have liked, and closely related topics. So this is, what do they like on Facebook? They like soccer. Do they like basketball? Do they like clothing? These are like activities that have occurred, whether it's pages they liked, whether it's certain photos they liked. So this is just an interest that they have. Next, we move on to behavior. All right. And this is you reach people based on purchase behaviors, or intent. This is more so like a frequency that's happening all the time. And it uses some algorithm to like more so find the outcome of that person. So if they have a buying intent or that kind of thing. So this is something that's occurring as a habit. So they have they're engaged shoppers or whatnot, or they're buying frequently online. So it's more so a behavior. All right. So now that we know interest, this is interest, just you're reaching specific audiences by looking at their interest activities and the pages they have liked. And then third we have is demographics. So let's go back to our PowerPoint slide. Demographic targeting, it just shows ads to people based on who they are, which is it's using traits like age, gender, location, income range. Now you're like, okay, this seems all fancy. So what do I select for my e-commerce store? All right. So when you're selecting for your e-commerce store, you want to go on the interest side. This is people who have shown an interest. This could be either, most of the time, it's short-term interest. Sometimes it is long-term, depending on what the topic is. So interest is basically, what have they engaged in? Have they purchased sweaters? Have they liked sweater pages? Have they engaged in certain hobbies and certain activities? What have they engaged in Facebook? And interest is the cheaper approach. I'll show you why. So in the PowerPoint slide, if you see the dollar sign behind it, so interest is basically the cheapest form of marketing. And how Facebook does it, it does it based on CPMs, which is cost per 1,000 impressions. So if you're targeting someone that's showing an interest in, let's just say, sweaters, clothing, uh, it's going to be cheaper than targeting someone that has a similar approach, like a shopping behavior, engaged shopping behavior. So behavior is going to be more expensive. And then demographic is even way more expensive. All right. So interest, let's go right here. So interest, I can go into clothing. And let's see what it pops. So clothing, apparel, interest. This says people, and always look at the actual description. That way you know, hey, does this apply to me or not? So description is people who have expressed an interest or like pages related to clothing apparel. All right. And if you see on the side, it shows interest. If we go down, this is a job title. Now, job titles are more so demographics. So that's in work, job title, clothing. So who uses demographics? Demographics is basically for if you're headhunting, like if you're looking for employees, you can use that as an example. And you can basically target people, let's say a certain education level. You can go into here and say, hey, I want to look for lawyers. And it's going to pop up. Okay, lawyers is a job title. And you can start showing ads to lawyers if you're looking for a lawyer to hire. All right, so this just applies if you're looking for an employee. Now, for your e-commerce store, you want to select interest. And if we go back, so that way I can talk about CPMs, which is cost per 1,000 impressions. So this means is, okay, how expensive is it going to be for 1,000 people to see my ads? So I did not necessarily click, they just seen it at a glance. This is impression. So this is how much you pay for your ad to be shown 1,000 times. And anytime you move down this column, whether it's behavior, demographic, it gets more expensive. That's why you start right here at the interest side. Oh, I just moved this all. So you start at the interest side. And interest is the best approach. And the more competitive audiences you have, it has a higher CPM. And this is why demographic targeting is more expensive. Because remember, Facebook is an auction system. And this is how their auction system is running right now. Interest is slightly cheaper, behavior is slightly more expensive, and demographic is way more expensive. And the way how we judge things is based on performance. All right, so if you're getting a good return on ad spend on your interest-based targeting that we're gonna select for your e-commerce store, then good. If you're not getting a good return, then it doesn't matter whether it's a good targeting approach or whatnot. It's not performing well. You're not getting a healthy return on ad spend. All right, so let's go back so that way we can select some interest for your e-commerce store. So if we go to interest, or I don't know why I put an interest. Well, let's do clothing. Now, we have clothing as an apparel. This is an interest. So you can select that. Now, keep in mind, it's going to give you an estimated audience size. So it says right here, 1 billion people, 342 million, 844,000. So this is worldwide. Now, if you go right here, it's going to actually tell you your estimated audience size based on the location that you have chosen. So if you're in the United States, you're going to select United States. If you're in the UK, you're going to select the UK or whatever country you're targeting. So you want to look at this one. You see how it says broad and then narrow on the other end? This is just the audience definition. So you want to look at this. And ideally, you want to be above that 10 million mark. So that way you give Facebook's algorithm a chance to know who's more likely to buy. You don't want it to be too narrow because the more narrow you are, the more expensive it gets because it's just the audience is going to fatigue. And I don't want to touch on that, but basically they've seen your ad so many times. And when they see your ad so many times and they haven't engaged, Facebook starts charging you higher and higher CPMs. All right. So we have selected clothing apparel. So clothing apparel is perfect for us. It's 120 million it's reaching. All right. Now, you can go down this rabbit hole and like for your product, you can figure out, all right, let's just say for this example, because remember, our product is sweaters. So I can go to the detail targeting side and I can be like, okay, let me see what sweaters pops up. So let's go down. Let's go to detail targeting and let's see what sweaters pops up for an interest. All right, we have sweaters as an interest. And look at the description. People who have expressed an interest in or like pages related to sweater apparel. This looks like a good audience for us to test. So I can select this and be good because I'm at 52,400,000. So this is perfect. So you want to select one detail targeting. So go down this add demographic or interest search bar and search for your product. Let's just say whatever you're selling, maybe polo. And then look at the actual description. So it says people who have expressed an interest or like pages related to polo sport. All right, so this is the sport itself. Now this is pertaining to the vehicle. You don't want that. You want more so apparel. So this is US Polo Assassin apparel, but this is more so a brand. It's called US Polo Assassin in the US. There's Ralph Lauren. All right, so whatever your product is, go in here, type it in, and you can always, on the interest side, you can go down, select, let's say for instance, shopping and fashion, and then let's just say I am looking at clothing and apparel, and I'm like, okay, men's clothing and apparel. This one might work for us. And then if you look, it's gonna search by relevance. So once you type this one in, men's clothing apparel, it's gonna give you more relevant stuff. Like, okay, did you want to select hoodie apparel also? Did you want to select coat clothing? Did you want to select t-shirt apparel? Did you want to select streetwear apparel? And you can select whichever one fits your business. But make sure you're only selecting one. But select one that's at least a good 10 million audience size. That way, you can test to see, okay, does sweater apparel perform good for us versus men's clothing apparel? Ad set is the audience. That's the people who are seeing your ads. If men's clothing apparel, I'm getting, let's say, a 0.5 return on ad spend, which is very low. Let's say sweaters apparel audience, I'm getting a 6x return on ad spend. I'm going to pause this ad set because it's not performing well for us. All right, so let's go back to our PowerPoint slide. And this is straight from Facebook. This says when you're creating an audience and then you want to start broad, so between 2 to 10 million people with the bigger audience, the auction will have greater opportunities to deliver ads, observe outcomes, and optimize. So let's go back right here. So make sure that you're selecting one detailed targeting per ad set. All right, so if I want to, for instance, do two, which I don't highly suggest you combine two interests, just because you won't know which one's working well, especially if they're a decent size. Like this one is, like, let's say if I were to get rid of, men's clothing apparel. This one's at 52 million. And then let's just say if I put men's apparel, men's clothing apparel right here. Let's remove the sweater. It's at 41 million. So these are both, they're good, decent size audiences. But if one has like a low audience size, like if it just has like 1 million, then you want to combine them. But if there's a decent size audience above 10 million, then separate it. So that way you know which one's outperforming the other. So let's just say we're happy with this one, which is men's clothing apparel. Or let's just say I were to select this one, which is this this audience size is pretty good, and it seems pretty relevant to what we're selling, which is people who have expressed interest in or like pages related to sweater apparel. And we're running ads that are sweaters for all three. So this makes a lot more sense to select this audience. All right. So select one, and this is a good, decent size, 52 million. All right. So go ahead, select one interest that fits well for your business. So that's your action plan. One interest that fits well for your business. Then you already have your second ad set, which is all broad, which is all of USA. And then once you publish this and it starts running, you can see if this detailed targeting of, let's say, interest sweaters works well. If not, you can add another ad set and target, let's just say, coat clothing, if that applies to you, or whatever might apply to you. But ultimately, you want the best audience seeing your ads that are more likely to purchase. Because remember, at the end of the day, all we care about is return on ad spend. That's it. That's all we're measuring is return on ad spend. So let's say if your first audience is bringing in, let's just say, a 0.5 return on ad spend. So right here, let me select if I can select the highlighter. So let's say right here, your first audience is bringing in a 0.5 return on ad spend. I'm going to pause this ad set. And then this ad set, I'm going to scale because it's bringing in a 4.34 return on ad spend. And that's ultimately what we're doing is we're seeing, all right, which audience is profitable based on the ads that we're showing them. So ultimately, you're trying to get a good return on ad spend. All right, so that was a little bit of a longer lesson explaining detailed targeting. But remember, you're just tracking this metric, which is return on ad spend. And remember what I touched on CPMs, which is cost per 1,000 impressions. It will tell you what your cost per 1,000 impression is based on the audience that you have. And if you're running, let's say, demographic targeting, which you shouldn't, just stick on only interest, then your demographic targeting will be a lot more expensive.
All right, so now that you've got your targeting dialed in, here's the problem. Most people won't buy on the first visit. They click your ad, they check out your product, and what happens? They leave. That's why I put together a full video breaking down a simple retargeting campaign structure that brings those people back into your world, and that way you can start churning them into sales. All right, go ahead and watch that video next. Seriously, go on.